Black Sky Radio.
My first day on set was about a week and a half, 2 weeks before I started. And I was in London, and so I went over to set just to kind of meet the voice coach and go over my accent and make sure that was okay. And I was invited down to set, down in this field where all the guys were all dressed up and firing massive machine guns, and there was tanks coming over the brow of a hill, and that was my very first kind of view of what was going on, and I was so taken aback by it.
Did you stand on top of the hill and just grin like maniacally, going, "Oh my God, look at this, tanks and machine guns"?
I did at first, yeah. At first, the young guy who took me down there, one of the runners, was a lovely guy who'd said, "You want to come down to set and have a look since you're here?" And I said, "Great." And he said, "Look, it's really muddy, so why don't we just give you a little bit of costume to put on, because it's just getting muddy anyway, and keep your clothes okay." And I was like, that's brilliant. So they just gave me a German shirt and American trousers and these boots, and I didn't wear them the way that they were supposed to be worn. I just wore them so that I didn't get muddy. And I was standing there, I was standing in awe of all this that was going on. I was like, this is amazing. And all these guys just looked like soldiers. They looked miserable. They were lying in the mud. They were, and I just thought, this is going to be great. It's going to be like being a kid again. And then I heard this voice shouting, "Hey, is that the new guy?" And I was like, and I'm looking about for the new guy, wondering who it is. And the runner who's with me goes, "That's you he's talking about." And I said, "Well, who's shouting? That's a mighty big voice." And he pointed over to this Marine, Farnsworth, Sergeant Farnsworth.
Oh, yes.
You've heard of Farnsworth?
We talked with Freddie Joe.
Oh, have you? Right. Oh, God, I hope he's not listening. I'm going to tell this story. So I look over, and he's not small, but he's not as tall as me, and I thought, wow, this is a really imposing, guy, this big voice. And then he shouts, "Bring that piece of shit over here." I was like, "Excuse me? I've not even started on this job yet. I'm not getting paid. I'm here of my own volition." And I walk over, and he just starts yelling in my face about the way that I'm dressed, and he won't let me get a word in to explain that I'm there off my own back just to meet the voice coach, and I was just invited down to set, and I haven't really started the job yet, and he was just going at me, and I have this thing when people try and get kind of in my face, I start to smile, I find it quite funny. And so you can imagine that this riled Farnsworth up even more.
Oh, yeah.
Sergeant Farnsworth, I should give him his full title. And he just went off on one, and I had my hands in my pockets, and he was like, "Take your effing hands out of your pockets and drop and give me 20. And and I just busted out laughing and told him to go fuck himself. and that was it. He was shouting, "Right, that's it, you're off the job. Get this piece of shit out of here. He's off the job." And I'm like, I haven't even started yet. This is crazy. So it's all kicked off between me and him, and he's shouting at me, and I'm putting my hands back in my pockets just to annoy him. And so we're having this really dodgy footing, and I'm looking around going, is that it? Am I off, Band of Brothers? Have I just been sacked before I started? And because I didn't do the boot camp, so I had no idea how you're supposed to act with these guys. I have had no experience with soldiers before. And I'm standing around going, what the fuck? What just happened? And Dale Dye walks up to me, this 6 foot odds, grey haired, and you recognise him from the movies that he's done, and you're like, wow, that's Dale Dye. And he's wearing a wetsuit. And he walks up to me in this wetsuit, and he says, "Are you Heiliger?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "It's yes, sir." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Follow me." And he walked me over the hill into a field out of view of everyone, and scared the living shit out of me by just explaining to me that he was in charge of that production. Forget about your Spielbergs, forget about your Hanks. The army guys run this show, and you toe the line or you're out. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but I haven't done the boot camp or anything. He went, okay, I know there's a few of you guys who just, this is a little bit scary for, but you're just going to have to man up. And I was like, okay. And he says, and stop speaking to me in that horrible accent. You're an American speaking an American accent. Nothing like pressure. I had only just met the voice coach that day, so I had to start in a field with this terrifying, massive guy in a wetsuit speaking in an American accent.
Black Sky Radio.